Let's just be real for a second. We were waiting for the first domino to fall. Who was going to be the athletic director that ripped off the $1 million band-aid and eventually saw every other AD follow suit? Well, Ross Burke became the prime candidate when he fired Jimbo Fisher to the tune of a $76 million buyout, and slowly but surely, other ADs have followed in the same pathway, including Zach Selman, the first-year AD at Mississippi State, who didn't wait until the end of the year to send Zach Arnett packing. Now the $1 million question turns to, where do the Bulldogs go from here? If you're brand new, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I love talking college football, and if this is the type of content you enjoy, my friends, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below, leave a comment telling me who you would like to see run the show in Starkville in 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, everybody about this channel. And as always, let's talk college football. Zach Arnett. Before we go any further, I think that he is a very good coach. I think that he gets the best out of his players defensively. I think that when you look at his job that he did during his time when he was at San Diego State and then at Mississippi State as a coordinator, it deserves a lot of recognition. But I didn't think that he was ready for the SEC. I didn't think that he was going to be well equipped in year one to really have a lot of attention brought his way other than negativity. And it's always really hard to follow up a legend, and that's really what Mike Leach is. But when he was hired, it kind of felt like it was an interim tag that was extended an extra year. The buyout was very small. It's only $4.5 million over the course of the next 4 years. And he made some very choice decisions that I don't think many people in the SEC agreed with, which ultimately led to his tenure ending within 10 games and not even a full 12-game stretch. But he's going to be a hot name when it comes to the defensive coordinator circuit. There's going to be teams in the SEC that I think are interested in him. I wouldn't be shocked if a team that is in their own division is looking to maybe bring him in. Hi, LSU, looking at you. But there are names out there that are definitely going to bring a lot of attention to Mississippi State. And Mississippi State's a decent job. It's not an elite job in the SEC, but it is probably, I would say, middle tier. And if you get the right coach in there, there's a very good shot that you're able to win, not immediately, but definitely build something and a nice foundation to where you are talked about for the foreseeable future. So who are the main names? Let's start off with the one that I don't think is going to happen, but he is going to be the hottest name on every head coaching circuit. It's Lance Leipold. Lance Leipold is a proven winner. No matter where he's been, he has found a way to gain victories and make it look easy. At Wisconsin Whitewater, at Buffalo, and then his crowning achievement at Kansas. Kansas is a laughingstock of a football program. If you really look at the history, they are a dumpster fire. They are basically the armpit and the smelly sweat stains of college football because of it's not good. It just hasn't been. And Lance Leipold's crowning achievement might be in 3 years, he's gotten 15 wins. 4 coaches combined in 11 seasons got 20 wins. He's got them bowl eligible back-to-back seasons for the first time since 2008. There is a shot that they could get to 10 wins if they run the table throughout the rest of the regular season. And he's a winner. And honestly, I think that's all people want at this point is, can you win regardless of the situation? Can you win regardless of athletic complex, recruiting, or any of the other amendments that go along with it? And it's why I think that you will see Northwestern be interested if they do make the job available. It's why I think that you will see Michigan State be interested. It's why Texas A&M might be interested. And it's why I think Mississippi State should be interested. But Kansas, which is putting investments into $300 million worth of a brand new stadium, is also going to be backing up the Brink trucks to keep him around. And it would be smart for them to do so because now with the future of the Big 12 kind of at an impasse, this is an opportunity for you to run the court and run the football field with 2 exceptional coaches. And Leipold at his age may want to just be content running a program and eventually getting a statue built of him. So I don't think he's a realistic option, but you got to make the phone call, right? Another phone call you have to make. I don't think he ends up doing it. Dan Mullen, come on. Come on, it's Dan freaking Mullen. Of course you have to make that phone call. Does he want to get back into coaching? I don't know. I mean, he went 69-46 during his 9 seasons at Mississippi State. He eventually left for Florida, but the difference is that the things that held him back at Florida from being successful won't hold him back at Mississippi State. You won't be compared to competing in the recruiting trail alongside Brian Kelly at LSU or Nick Saban at Alabama or Kirby Smart at Georgia. You'll be compared to competing against Eli Drinkwitz or Lane Kiffin or Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, or Sam Pittman, or whoever takes over at Arkansas. Those are the guys that you're going to be compared to. And he won, and he won a lot, and he brought a lot of relevancy to Mississippi State. I think people forget that in the trivia question of the day, who was number one in the initial college football playoff poll? It was Dan Mullen's Bulldogs with Dak Prescott as his quarterback. So he's done a really nice job on television, but if there is any opportunity for you to maybe go back, kind of like what Louisville did a few years ago when they hired Bobby Petrino to bring some bit of relevancy and continuity to the roster, if you do that, maybe it's actually the smartest move for you. I don't know if he takes the job, but it's not going to hurt to at least throw out some feelers and see what he thinks. Now let's talk about the real candidates. And there's probably 5 or 6 that I'm forgetting, but these are just a few off the top of my head. The first one, John Summerall at Troy. This to me, if you are looking for a group of 5 head coach to set the tone in a similar way that Dan Mullen did, this the guy that you hire. Because John Summerall knows the land. He coached at Ole Miss. He coached in Tulane. He coached at Kentucky. He was the co-defensive coordinator at Kentucky when they were turning out multiple day 1 and day 2 talents. They found a really nice rapport in Lexington. And then he got the job at Troy. And very similar to many others who have been at the group of 5 level, he's dominated. He's 20-4. The Trojans have a shot of winning a second Sun Belt title this year. Not only that, they're one of the best defenses in college football. They rank 12th in total yards allowed. And he brings that physicality and that sense of demeanor that has really been missing. And I think that that's something that a lot of people, including Zach Selman, would love to have on his roster and on his coaching staff. He knows the area also when it comes to relationships. So he would be able to build, I think, a very impressive coaching staff very quickly. And he also knows the areas where to recruit in the hotbeds. So I would absolutely be elated if John Summerall, after 2 years of dominating at Troy, finally gets a Power 5 head coaching job. He's eventually going to get there. I think that he's earned the right to at least compete or be a finalist for Mississippi State. Speaking of non-Power 5 head coaches that maybe are questionable, but definitely would bring a lot of interest and intrigue, Jamie Chadwell at Liberty. Jamie Chadwell has won everywhere. He has won at Coastal Carolina. He has won at Liberty. He has won at Greenville. He has won at Charleston Southern. He's won everywhere in college football. But the problem is, unlike a John Summerall or unlike a Lance Leipold or unlike several other Power 5 coordinators, he's never coached at the Power 5 level. He's never been a coordinator. He's never been a head coach. So he doesn't know kind of the basis of how you go about building a program with these type of talents. But it may not matter because Lance Leipold coached at Wisconsin Whitewater, a D3 school, and turned Buffalo into a MAC champion because he's a winner. And Willie Fritz, another guy who's probably going to get mentioned, is a winner. And maybe that's what you have with Jamie Chadwell, just a winner. He won at Coastal Carolina. He's winning right now and is undefeated with Liberty in his first year. I think the main thing that when it comes to Liberty, if this is not a dream job for him, they can offer an exuberant amount of money to keep him employed for the foreseeable future in Lynchburg. Like, they maybe weren't ready to watch Hugh Freeze leave a few years ago, but now they felt very comfortable when they were knowing that Chadwell was in the mix for Freeze's replacement, that they were willing to flaunt a lot of money to go ahead and get him from Coastal Carolina. Maybe they can do the same thing from keeping him out of Starkville. But this is an SEC job. It's a pretty good SEC job, and those don't just grow on trees. So this might be Chadwell's first and really only chance to get that opportunity. Next up, Willie Fritz. I put Willie Fritz third on this list because of his age. He's up there. He's only probably going to be coaching for another, I would say, 8 or 9 years. And I do think that he will be the front runner for the Kansas job if Lance Leipold is to leave and go elsewhere. But the guy's a winner, plain and simple. And he turned a 2-10 Green Wave team into a AAC champion. He's got them looking like they're going to represent the group of 5 level once again in the New Year's Six Bowl. He's going to lose his starting quarterback more than likely in Michael Pratt. And this is an opportunity for him to get one shot at the Power 5. And much like everybody else, he has won everywhere. He has always found success, and he's doing it once again after a stint at Georgia Southern, at Tulane, after Sam Houston. he's going to have the opportunity maybe to be a Power 5 head coach, and maybe it is Mississippi State. If you're okay with having him for, say, 5 to 6 years, set the tone and really build an identity and find your next young up-and-coming Willie Fritz per se, that's a really smart hire, in my opinion. Another name, just real fast. These are coordinators, but I think that Manny Diaz is one that has to at least be considered. Diaz, it's really interesting to talk about him because from a coordinator standpoint, there are few and far that as good as him. There really are. And he's done a phenomenal job of reevaluating that defensive line at Penn State. They're still one of the best when it comes to defending the run. They're still one of the best when it comes to adding pressure in the backfield in the Big Ten. They've really honed in on their mental mistakes from last year, and they've dominated this year. So that's a huge testament to Manny Diaz in year 2. I think the other thing is that when you look at the job that Mario Cristobal has done his first 2 seasons, you kind of take the Diaz tenure with the Hurricanes with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, it wasn't terrible, it wasn't great, but maybe it's just really hard to win in Coral Gables right now. So that's the way that I view a guy like Manny Diaz, who maybe is not SEC material, but he does know how to recruit. He does know how to build up defensive linemen. And that's kind of been the bread and butter of great teams from Mississippi State. They're really sound defensively. And much like when they had guys like Chris Jones and Jeffrey Simmons and Darius Slay and Benarjic McKinney and Montez Sweat and countless others, you may want that guy leading your staff once again. So Manny Diaz comes up to mind for sure. One more name before we get on out of here. Glenn Schumann, defense coordinator for Georgia. One Nick Saban disciple leaves the SEC, and another Nick Saban disciple comes to the SEC as a head coach. He never played underneath Nick Saban. He went to learn how to coach underneath Nick Saban. And then he, by the age of 24, was Saban's director of player personnel at Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. After that, he was hired by Kirby Smart when he got the job at Georgia. He was actually one of the very first hires that they made. And slowly but surely, he has moved up the ranks just like Dan Lanning did. And now he is running the program all the way to potentially another national title underneath the direction of him and Will Muschamp. He has learned from a multitude of coaches, including Kirby Smart, including Mel Tucker, which we're not going to talk about the off-field incident, but Tucker was a great defensive mind. He learned from Dan Lanning. He's learning from Will Muschamp. And every single week, you know the physicality that Georgia plays with. And that is exactly what's been missing for the other Bulldog team. He's going to be a head coach very soon. He's 33. If you keep him around for, say, 8 or 9 years, that might be enough to get you to a prominent level to where you're competing for maybe second or third place in the SEC. And maybe that's enough to get you in the college football playoff ranks. And if that's what you're looking for, Schumann may be your guy. But eventually, he is going to be a head coach at the Power 5 level. Maybe this is where Mississippi State swings big, allows him to build an identity similar to what's built in Athens. And it's not a clone of the Bulldogs, but the other Bulldogs, you know, the gray, not the brown and, my apologies, the brown and maroon, not the red and black. But still, what you have is maybe a really good coach in the waiting. But those are the candidates that I consider. I think John Summerall should be the favorite. But you also have names like Jamie Chadwell, Willie Fritz, Lance Leipold, Glenn Schumann, Manny Diaz, and probably a bunch more that could be coming Zach Selman's way very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.